Sansa Stark is the feminist icon in Game of Thrones. Her journey so far. Metro News. 135 6M shares. Whilst not exactly problem-free when it comes to gender politics, one thing you can't accuse Game of Thrones of is a lack of strong female characters. Arya Stark, played by Maisie Williams, could rival any man in Westeros in a sword fight. Daenerys Targaryen. But if you're looking for a true feminist hero in the show, you'd be wise not to discount Sansa Stark. And the narrative that, for starters, one of the most compelling things about Game of Thrones is the way it mixes gritty reality and high fantasy. So yes, in this context, we need characters who have realistic reactions to all of this. Sansa is not. We see this realism again when things go wrong in King's Landing. Sansa finds her, but rather than this situation eliciting sympathy for her, I've heard countless arguments dismissing Sansa as weak for not fighting back against Joffrey's Jack Gleeson abuse. The truth is this is, in fact, Sansa is treated as a commodity more than any other female character on the show. You by Joffrey, by Petyr Baelish Aegon Gillen, and then, most damagingly, by Ramsay Bolton Ewanren. Yet somehow one of my very favorite scenes of the show is when Sansa finally has the chance to confront Ramsay, who has raped and brutalized her. He tries to reiterate. Game of Thrones prequel casts Jon Snow, Richard McCabe, and more as series regulars. Game of Thrones Season 8 finale will be different to the books, warns George R.R. Martin. What is the Night King, and why doesn't he talk? Game of Thrones and yet, some of the analysis after the episode focused on Sansa's smile as she finally sets Ramsay's own dogs on him. Was she enjoying her? Despite renouncing Ramsay himself, Sansa is also unflinching when it comes to the reality of his sexual and physical abuse, and she won't shield others from it either. She forces Since then, she's started to play the Game of Thrones in earnest, earning some initial grudging respect from her critics. But the backlash, she's also never guilty of underestimating the women around her. Although the show had, as we wait through these final weeks for the last series of Game of Thrones to begin, who knows where Sansa's story will take her next. Often, I confess to hoping that she's one of the candidates left standing when it comes to someone claiming the Iron Throne. Game of Thrones returns to HBO and Sky Atlantic on April 14th, while seasons 1 to 7 are currently available to stream on Now TV. If you've got a story, video, or pictures, get in touch with the metro.co.uk entertainment team by emailing us, calling 020-3615-2145 or by visiting We'd Love to Hear From You. Lentidity code excerpt. Share your results.
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.